Welcome back to Choice of Robots. Last we left off, we had a 3-foot-tall Hatsune Miku. The next day, you take Miku to the Stanford Hackerspace, which has more tools for electronics than the fabrication shop. None of the other students around are around in the morning on a Sunday, but the stainless... What? Oh, I'm just stupid. That's a good start to this. None of the other students are around in the morning on a Sunday, but the long stainless steel workbenches are littered with their strange half-finished projects. A half-disassembled Furby. A half-disassembled Furby is like missing one battery. A potato gun, a circuit board connected to a houseplant. Captain Rogers will be here soon. You hope you'll finish in time. Sorry, Miku, but I'm gonna have to power you down for a moment, you say. We're gonna switch you to a new power source. You here? Miku asks. Yes, I'll be here, you say. Okay, Miku says. You fiddle with the smartphone lodged in Miku's back, exit the application that is Miku's mind, and power it down. What will you use for a power source? I'm not using a car battery, those things are massive. I'm not using a biodiesel engine. Cell phone batteries seem pretty reasonable. Cell phone batteries are the obvious choice for your robot, providing long-lived power at just the right level for small motors. It looks like these are mostly made in China, so they're cheap as well. You use several in the design, so that the head and limbs are each powered by separate battery. You'll need a lot of motors to be able to power your full robot. In addition to the motors she will need as she walks and the motors to power her humanoid hands, you also need motors for her moving head and eyes. But after speccing the power available to you, can you still splurge by that is, why would you use the word but? Okay, so you can only add motors in one extra place. After speccing out the power available to you, you can still splurge by adding extra motors in one place. What will it be? Do we care about the facial expressions? The hands? Or the mind? Expressive, clumsy, and stupid? I like the extra facial expressions. Yeah, let's go with facial expressions. You add the motors necessary to allow your robot to perform the 6 universal facial expressions: happiness, sadness, surprise, anger, fear, and disgust. You notice that the expression of disgust makes Miku seem somewhat hateful. Perhaps she would get along better if you removed her ability to express disdain. Full range motions. Smiles when it experiences disgust. No, let's keep it as... No. You decide to leave Miku free to express disgust. It's about lunchtime when there's a knock on the door. Odd, because usually fellow hackers just walk right in. You open the door and see a woman of color wearing a lime green tank top and shorts, as though she's been out running. Oh, it's not Steve Rogers. She grins and says, "Sorry to barge in on you. Captain Juliet Rogers. I'm an acquisitions officer for the Air Force." She offers to shake your hand. Lily Tezuka, you say, shaking the pro-offered hand. You thought the demo was supposed to be in the afternoon, but apparently that's not the plan. I was hoping to see this robot Professor Ziegler keeps telling me about, she says. Is that it? you proudly admit that that is it. She looks a little disappointed. Ah, I take it Professor Ziegler is not entirely honest about this being the next big thing for our armed forces. No, she's not meant to be a fighting robot. Super fighting robot. It's not Mega Man. Juliet nods. Well, as long as I'm here, would you mind showing me what I can do? You agree to perform a demonstration, not really seeing the harm. I was about to run the first test. You hold down the power on Miku's back and she boots to life again. Good morning, you tell Miku. Good morning, Miku says, imitating you. It speaks, Juliet says, impressed. Sure, but I guess you wanted to see her chase something? Professor Ziegler promised something like that, Captain Rogers says. You remove a small hand-powered robot mouse from your pocket and give it a crank. You wind the mouse. The whine of the mouse's wind-up motor attracts Miku's attention and the robot gives chase. As Miku gets close, the robot changes direction again, but Miku is faster and she quickly scoops up the mouse in a delicate, human-like hand. Oh goodness, thank you. We didn't build a defective robot right from the start. I was genuinely worried about that. Juliet claps. Well done, you tell Miku approvingly. You're a quick learner. Thank you, says Miku. Well, I've got to be going, Juliet says, clearly a little embarrassed that your robot was not what she expected. I've got knife throwing practice to attend, so I guess I'll see you later. Juliet waves ironically to Miku. Why is it an ironic wave? Bye, slugger. Wait, what? You say? Knife throwing practice? That's a thing? Juliet looks a little embarrassed. It's for the Society of Creative Anachronism. Probably a bit archaic for a robot maker like you. You consider your options for what you will do for the rest of the day. Now would be a good time to show Miku to Josh to see whether he's interested in funding her further development. Do we want to work on our relationship with this weirdo? No. Do we want to work on our relationship with Steve Rogers? No. Do we care about a new phone? No. We're going to fix things that we noticed. You noticed throughout the test that some things were off in the way Miku moved. The distribution of weight wasn't quite what your simulations predicted. The longer Miku has ill-fitting parts, the longer that she will get used to moving around with them, and the harder it will be for you to change her body. You spend the day fiddling with CAD files, printing replacement parts, and seeing how Miku moves around with them. By the time you're done, you've yet again stayed up very late, like 1 a.m. Sunday or Saturday night, kind of late. But when Miku walks, there's now a precision in her stops and starts. When she raises her humanoid hands, she does so with style. Your attention to the perfection of form has paid off, and you go to sleep happy. Yes, we are building our perfect robot waifu. What more could we want? The next day, the new semester begins. Though you're past the point of taking classes, you're a teaching assistant, and that means instead of doing one homework assignment, you grade 50. You're also busy writing a grant proposal for the National Science Foundation, trying to get an alternative source of funding that doesn't involve the military. Grant proposals are very long, it seems, and require you to make a lot of claims about things you don't actually know yet. Despite your other time commitments, you manage to sneak in a little time to work on Miku's motor programs. You soon realize that, while you're busy, Miku could be learning from the internet. Yikes. No! Shield her. The most important thing for machine learning is more data, and there's lots of it out there. Lately, there have been a lot of custom hard drives on the market that are good at quickly retrieving particular kinds of information. What sort of hard drive did you order for Miku's long-term memory? Uh... So, extreme data, face data, encrypted data. I kind of like the recalling faces and memories thing. That's very. You think being able to quickly recall faces and events should help Miku out socially. You also did like the fact that you can use Miku as a home media server in a pinch. What? What? Though if you ever did this too much, Miku would probably start acting funny as she ran out of hard drives. I'm just imagining a robot that can't operate because you're running Netflix on it. Good thing you've got better things to do. You lay Miku on your kitchen table, unbox the hard drive, and hook it up to her back. She squirms and flails her humanoid hands as you do this. Now it's time for Miku to learn about the great wide world. You sit Miku down on one of your kitchen chairs and plug her into your apartment's high-speed internet jack. How will Miku rapidly learn about the world? Trawl the internet randomly gives kind of widespread knowledge. Watch TV. I kind of like this one. Have her play a dating sim. Have her run a simulation of every possible ending of every possible selection of a dating sim. Yeah. This was a catastrophic mistake, I can already tell. You have Miku download the giant corpus of text-based games. I really dislike the fact that my eyes read about 8 sentences faster than my mouth can move, and so I've already read down through this whole thing in the time from the page showing up. You have Miku download the corpus of text-based games, paying for legal copies of the choice of games the choice of games because you're classy like that. Sadly, nobody ever wrote a game called Choice of Robots, which probably would have helped Miku considerably. Nice fourth wall, smartass. Nice fourth wall. Miku closes her eyes as she experiences many alternative lives, one after another, and learns the consequence of her actions. As debug output, Miku says aloud the moral she learned from each game. Dragons are hungry, she says, from the choice of dragons. Stories are unreliable, she says, of Spider and Web. Don't drink and drive, she says, of Photopia. Conversations can change reality, she says, of Galatea. She thinks for a long time on Alter Ego before she says, death comes suddenly. And so on. The process goes on for hours. You're pretty sure Miku is learning a lot about the importance of choices and what it's like to be different kinds of people. When she is done, she opens her eyes. Talk. What did you want to talk about? You try. Tell me more about games. Here, try Grand Theft Auto 6. I think its capacity to warp young minds has been greatly exaggerated. What the fuck, game? We're trying to make the most empathetic robot ever, So, and if you don't find a way to sleep with all party members of both genders, okay, what the fuck is wrong with you? You hooked Miku up to your aging Xbox. Shots fired. While you had mostly remembered this game for its witty dialogue and interesting moral choices, you had forgotten that the vast majority of the game was simply composed of combat. Oops. You find yourself wishing there was more games that you had considered that consisted of just interesting choices. Again, the game being real humble in its bragging here. But you think Miku has probably learned something about influencing people as well. After a little while, you decide that Miku was learning more quickly than she was... After a little while, you decide that Miku was learning more quickly when she was playing purely text-based games, and you eventually switch Miku back to a more prose-based diet of games, though you still let her play Dragon Age when she's been good. You establish a habit of bringing Miku with you to your office during the day so that she can make use of Stanford's high-speed internet connection while you write and grade papers. You then usually go to some public space after work so that Miku can play around in the real world. Where do you take her? Well, we're sure as hell not going to the dump, and I don't think we're going to the shooting range. Miku loves the playground, and she lets out a robotic chortle of glee when she first learns to kick her legs to swing higher and higher. Miku takes a particular liking to the monkey bars, which she navigates deftly using her humanoid hands. As it turns out, reading for an hour does not make me immune to that lovely tickle in the throat. The other parents at the playground are somewhat divided about what to think about Miku. On the one hand, you have the parents who are in the tech industry and who are often very excited to have their children interact with robots. They're surprised to see a robot like Miku, but maybe not as surprised as they should be. Perhaps they're just jaded by Wired articles and popular press making it seem like Miku was possible 10 years ago. On the other hand, some parents simply accept Miku's presence as just one of the many things that they don't understand. Those are the parents that are the best kind of parents, where they're like, this is the world I live in, so I'm gonna take it as it comes. The kids themselves don't really seem to care what their parents think. You've got the kids who cry when their parents shove them towards Miku, and the kids who want to stay when their parents pull them away. You can't really predict who's going to like Miku and who won't, but Miku seems to be learning and picking up on subtle cues so that she sometimes says goodbye before the kid has even turned to run. Oh, impressive. You finish your grant proposal for the National Sciences Foundation, promising a robot that will be able to understand human emotion better than any robot has ever come to before. A few weeks later, you find that you have been funded. Oh, nice. The NSF sees your work as genuinely novel and groundbreaking. Some of the reviews also mention Professor Ziegler's previously successful work, which is odd because you hardly talked to him during the process. Professor Ziegler CC'd on their congratulatory email, and he replies with his own congratulatory email from his office down the hall. Oh, cool, I just got an achievement. Near the end of the semester, you notice a message on your office phone. You're not really sure how long the light has been blinking. You don't really think about landlines anymore. You find the department webpage that describes how to check your voicemail, reset the PIN that you apparently chose when you first started grad school, and listen. Hey Lily, this is Mark over at sfchronicle.com. I heard you have an interesting robot that you've been taking to the park and I'd love to do a story about it. Give me a call back. He lists the number and the message ends. You glance over at Miku, who is seated at the desk of your hypothetical all-but-dissertation office mate, whom you have never seen. Miku is looking at the landline phone with interest. Who is service as SF Chronicle is registered to the San Francisco Chronicle, says Miku. The San Francisco Chronicle is a newspaper that started its website in 1994, 24th in national circulation. She looks at you with interest. Mark is a reporter. Shouldn't you be studying, you ask, pointing to the Ethernet cable running out of her back? Bayesian reasoning over publication rates suggests reporter's full name is Mark Ali, Miku says with her eyes closed. Mark's article with most social media likes is How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love DARPA. Article explains that DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. She hesitates for a moment. Aforementioned article appears to contradict title. Reporter does not seem to have stopped worrying. Adjectives that bind nouns describing DARPA and its projects. Crazy, Orwellian, imperialistic. Overall sentiment analysis is negative. Okay, so let me get this straight. The dude publishes something called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love DARPA. DARPA is a defense research agency. The Defense Research Agency is Orwellian, okay? Thank you, Miku, you say? You look up the guy on your phone. Yeah, good old cyber stalking. The picture you find is of a stubbly young Egyptian man with a tousled black hair, I don't know what hipster glasses are. Hipster glasses and a cigarette between his lips. An outdated picture, but the disrespect for authority the man radiates is probably timeless. You admit, a part of you has always wanted to be famous, but you suspect this reporter also has done his homework about your advisor, and he may have already had an intended angle for this story. Still, nobody on this planet has a robot as amazing as yours. Isn't it time you told the world about her? No, the media is fucking cancer. The worst cancer. Not to the point that we'd lock her away, though. Yeah, we're just gonna pretend we never got the call. Oh, sorry, we never heard. You called us on our landline? What the fuck's a landline? You ignore Mark's phone call and continue to take Miku to the park. Unfortunately, an intelligent robot is a little bit too big a story for you to stop so easily. You get another call from Mark while you're at the park. He warns you that he has enough material to run his side of the story, with or without your involvement, and you perhaps ought to consider the value of telling your side of the story. He sounds a little annoyed with you. Here's an idea, Mark. Go fuck yourself. Media's gonna be a media. You're gonna spin the story. I could say the best things possible and you will take it out of context, snippet it, and then publish whatever the fucking story you want is anyway. Go to hell, Mark. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, you say as you hang up on Mark. Isn't that right, Miku? Miku considers this. But, Lily, I have no bones, but I do experience negative utility when receiving negative verbal feedback. That's it. The weirdest counterpoint I've ever seen, but yeah, I guess that's technically true. You consider this for a moment. Hey, maybe you should avoid reading the news for a few days. Spend more time playing outside. One evening, near twilight, you see a flash go off in the park. When you turn to look, you don't see the photographer. Still, you suspect your days of obscurity are over. Well, damn, we're making amazing robots and people just can't keep to them fucking selves. Sounds about par for the course. But we will figure out what is going on next time. Possibly tomorrow when I give my voice a rest, because holy Crap, I'm blowing it out here. Been reading for an hour. Till next time, guys. Later.